Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the recently tabled bill in the parliament, that is the India's Antarctic bill. We are also going to discuss about what are the important features, significant provisions of the bill and why this particular bill was needed. That means what was the intent of the government behind building this particular bill. So first of all, the context in which we are discussing this particular issue is because on the last Friday, government has brought an Indian Antarctic Bill 2020, and this bill actually was drafted in 2020 but has been tabled now, and the bill has been brought by Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is also the Minister of Earth Sciences for the Government of India. Actually, if we try to understand, it is the first domestic legislation with regard to Antarctica that has been tabled in any of the houses of parliament as of now. Now, what is the relation between India and Antarctica? Let us try to understand the slight background. So first of all, India signed a treaty that is called as Antarctica Treaty in around 1983. So almost 40 years time have passed, and till now India has sent around 41 different delegates, 41 different expeditions to the Antarctica for carrying out various scientific experiments and processes. The most recent delegates or the most recent expedition sent by the government of India was in the month of November 2021. However, the problem was that whatever expedition government of India was sending, it does not have any concrete law, concrete legislation to govern their functioning, to govern their actions. Most of these expeditions were circumscribed by the international laws or international treaty. And in this context, the government has decided to bring a comprehensive list of regulations that will regulate the acts and actions of the expeditions of both Indian citizens as well as non-Indian citizens who has been or who is part of the Indian delegation in Antarctica. If we try to look briefly into the India's Antarctic program, so first of all, this India's Antarctic program is run by, or we can say the nodal body is National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, which is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Earth Sciences and Development. The first Antarctic expedition, as discussed before, was sent by India in the year 1981 under the chairmanship of Syed Jahur Qasim. Syed Jahur Qasim was a member of Planning Commission as well as he was also a marine biologist. So also we can say that he was the pioneer who began the India's Antarctic program. While taking part in different programs, different expeditions, India built up 3 different stations in Antarctica. These 3 different research stations, the earliest one to be built was named as Dakshin Gangotri. Further, in year 1989, India commissioned a new research center that is called as Matri, whose photograph you can see in the left side. This is the aerial photograph of Matri Research Station in Antarctica, and the most recent one that has been built up by India is called as Bharati Research Station. Now question comes that what kind of research do Indian scientists or Indian expedition team participate in when they are in the Antarctic region? So basically it does not have any limitations. They focus on all atmospheric, whether it is biological, earth related, chemical and medical sciences in the unique temperature as well as the unique climate and weather of the Antarctic region. Here, since we have discussed that India's Antarctic program began with the signing of a treaty called as Antarctica Treaty, so let us understand briefly what is Antarctica Treaty. So this, you can see, this is the map or flag of Antarctica Treaty, and it was signed first in year 1959 by 12 countries whose name you can read here. It was Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, the French Republic, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Union of South Africa, USSR, the Great Britain, the Northern Ireland and the United States of America. Though the treaty was signed in year 1959, however it came in force in year 1961. If we try to understand that what is the position of this treaty today, so since the beginning the member were only 20 countries were signatory. As of now, total 54 countries are there who are signatories to the Antarctica Treaty. However, all the countries do not have voting rights. Only 29 out of these 54 countries are there who enjoys voting right in the meeting of Antarctica Treaty or meeting of Antarctica Treaty Commission. And the India is a country that has a voting right as well. Now, what was the main objective of this treaty? So main objective was to ensure the demilitarization of Antarctica. That means to make sure that no countries uses Antarctica as a base for either weapon research development programs or weapon launch station or something like that, and so that Antarctica can be used as a zone of peaceful research activities, and that is why it is also considered as a global commons. Now what does global commons mean? Global commons basically means that part or that region of the earth or outside the earth which is accessible to all countries in similar ways, and no countries enjoy exclusive right to exercise their authority over that particular region. For example, over Antarctica all countries can establish their research station. Similarly, other example of global common is your outer space, where all countries have equal access and equal rights. And apart from that, we have the high sea areas, that is beyond the exclusive economic zone region in maritime zones, where each countries have equal right and similar rights. The second objective was to set aside any dispute regarding territorial sovereignty, that any country can claim that the Antarctica is our land or Antarctica belongs to that particular country. That claims will not be entertained, and thus international cooperation can be ensured in Antarctica, which is a very good example of global commons. And if we look at the present scenario, we can see that Antarctica Treaty has been successful to a very significant extent, because no time we have any kind of conflict that has arisen or arise between different countries regarding the jurisdiction, regarding their rights over Antarctica, which is very different from Arctic. If you try to compare in Arctic region, a lot of countries are vying to exploit and export the natural resources, and also a lot of countries try to exercise their jurisdiction and try to historically claim that that part of Arctic belongs to them. However, that we did not see in the case of Antarctica. Now, the Antarctica Treaty have their headquarters in the Buenos Aires, which is the capital city of Argentina, which is situated in South America. This is Buenos Aires. So the headquarters of Antarctica Treaty Commission is situated here. However, Antarctica Treaty is not the only treaty that govern the Antarctic region. We have two other important treaties. The first is called as Convention on the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, that was signed in the year 1980, and this treaty, as clear from the name itself, basically focus on preserving and conserving as well as protecting the marine life around and on the Antarctic region. The second significant treaty is the Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, that was signed in year 1998, and this treaty basically aims to declare Antarctic as a natural reserve that is devoted to the peace and science work. Now coming back to our main topic, the salient provisions of the bill. So the most significant provision of the Antarctic bill is that it extends the jurisdiction of Indian courts to Antarctica. What does it mean? It means that suppose India has sent any expedition to Antarctica. In that case, this expedition will be made up of several members, and if any of these members, whether it is Indian citizens or non-Indian citizens, are involved in certain criminal activities, either or any kind of activities that are criminal in nature or criminal offense, either toward the fellow human being or toward the flora and fauna of Antarctica, in that case the Indian court will have right to punish and penalize the concerned party or the accused party. The second, it also tries to develop an elaborate permit system for any expedition or any individual who want to go on a tour to Antarctica. That means if suppose any Indian company or Indian tour company want to organize an expedition to the Antarctica, in that case they cannot go directly, they have to take a permit from the government of India, and this permit will be given by a committee which will be headed by the Secretary of Earth Sciences Ministry, and then there will be members from all other concerned ministries like Ministry of Space, Ministry of Ocean, Ministry of Environment and Forest, and also the member from the National Security Commission as well as National Ocean Research Programs. And the third most important provision of this bill is that it tries to we can say legalize the commercial fishing as well as tourism in the Antarctic region from the Indian side. That means Indian expedition or Indian citizens can involve, Indian companies can involve in commercial fishing, because all the countries have been given fishing right around Antarctica. They have given particular quota that much amount of fishes every country can catch from that region. So India can exercise that right. And also as of now, if any Indian citizen want to go on a tour to Antarctica, they have to take help of foreign tour organization or foreign tour operators, as Indian tour operators currently are not allowed. So this will also facilitate, this bill will also facilitate the tourism from the Indian tourist company, Indian tour company or Indian tour organizers. Now in this bill there has been certain prohibitions that has been included. The first provision is that any member of expedition, Indian expedition, will not involve in work like drilling, dredging, excavation or collection of mineral resources in and around Antarctica. Not only even collection, but even the person or individuals are actually prevented from trying to find out that how and where the mineral reserves are located in the Antarctic region. Second, if anyone try to damage the native plants, birds or animals of the Antarctica by various means, either by firing a weapon or by catching a particular animals or catching a particular birds, in that case they will also be penalized and they can be sentenced for imprisoned. They can be imprisoned. Third is that any introduction of animals, birds, plants or microscopic organisms that are not native to Antarctica. In other words, we can also say that alien species or alien invasive species, their introduction to Antarctica will be prohibited and a party or any citizen that is caught in this act will be severely penalized. Now coming to that, what are the penalty provisions that has been made in this bill for the act of citizens that is taking part in prohibited act. So first of all, there will be a separate designated court for discussing and dealing with all the matters related to Antarctica. The second, the bill states that there will be imprisonment between 1 to 2 years for a minimum and penalty of rupees to 10 to 50 lakh minimum for any violation of the act. Apart from that, the extraction of native species, that means bringing any flora and fauna that is native to Antarctica, catching them and bringing back to some other countries, or introduction of an exotic species as discussed before, will attract the imprisonment of 7 years and a fine of rupees 50 lakhs. While the most severe punishment is will be dealt in the case someone is involved in dumping of nuclear waste or participating in any kind of nuclear explosion. In that case, the penalty can be life imprisonment or it can be minimum up to 20 years, while a minimum fine of rupees 50 crore will be levied. So with all these regulations, rules, regulations and provisions, government has tabled the bill and it is hoping that bill will be passed in the Lok Sabha, then it will send to the upper house, and then India will have a full-fledged legislation after 27 countries of the world, full-fledged domestic legislation to deal with the matters related to Antarctica. So that is all for this particular issue. Thank you very much.